I've just collected my order from an art shop, so let's start with a very short unboxing. It's only a few items, but one of them is very special and necessary for this video. Here is a fine liner that I need for my upcoming travel. I also got some clips and refills for my automatic pencils. Oh, and this is a free gift from the shop, a small sample of watercolor paper. And the most important item, a tiny watercolor box. This box is from Roman Szmal, but most brands have similar ones. It fits 6 full pans. At the bottom there is a metal ring that you can put on your finger to make it more secure in your hand if you are not keeping it on a flat surface. Once you open it, it seems very comfortable to hold. Here is my regular box that fits 28 pans. It is also from Roman Szmal, and it also has such a ring, but look how huge this is. I'm not saying it's very uncomfortable, but I definitely don't see myself using it outside my house. The small one is much more convenient. It should be easy to use both outside and, for example, while painting in a cafe, because it won't take too much space on the table. While opened, the small one is actually the same size as the big one closed. It is a massive difference to me. But this is of course because it can fit less colors, so I need to limit my palette because I'm going on holidays soon and I really want to try painting while traveling. I have never done that before. I've never even painted with watercolors outside the comfort of my home, so I have no idea how it will go. I think I might feel weird and I'm mostly concerned about people staring at me. That's why I definitely don't see myself using my regular big box and bringing more attention to myself. In addition, the big one is quite heavy, so it is not perfect for carrying around the whole day. But how to limit those colors? I've been using my Roman Szmal watercolors since late May this year, so I more or less figured out how to mix them. But I'm not that proficient to be sure which are the most useful, and I do want to get the most I can from the 6 colors I take. So I decided to test them all first. To do that, I prepared 13 watercolor paper pages of tables for color mixing charts. I firstly measured them all with a ruler and then hand-drawn all of them, and drawing those tables took a lot of time and was very mundane. I really don't recommend that, but I had no idea how else to do that. And after the charts were ready, it was already dark and I still had to fill them with my paint mixes, which was also very time consuming. I was doing it after work and it took me over 2 whole evenings to finish. To make it chart, I first painted the base color, gradually adding more water to it. And then I filled each box with mixes of each other colors, gradually adding the base color to show a wide range of mixes available. I didn't test all of the colors though. To save some time, I skipped the ones I was sure I should not take. So here you can see my colors, and I didn't check almost all of the third row, because those are multi-pigment granulating watercolors. They are very nice and fun to use, but I didn't feel they will be that essential in a 6-color palette. I also wanted to avoid multi-pigment paints as they can create more muddy mixes. At least that's what I heard. So those are the finished charts. I tested Phthalo Blue, Ultramarine Intense, Permanent Alizarin Crimson, Magenta, which according to the description is not granulating, but it did granulate on a single color chart and also with some other non-granulating colors. My palette also showed a lot of granulation here, so I don't know, to me it seems to granulate. But returning to the charts, the next color is Cerulean Violet, Nickel Azo Yellow, Quinacridone Gold, Aquarius Orange, Cherry Quinacridone Red, Deep Green Gold, Hooker's Green, and Lemon Yellow, Dioxazine Violet, and Cobalt Sea Blue, which is the only granulating one I tested. But I still wasn't sure which to choose. I knew I needed at least one blue, one yellow, and I was decided on magenta for red. The remaining ones that I initially thought would be useful you can see on the screen. I took those 6 colors and did this mixing chart. But after mixing them together, there were too many similar greenish and reddish mixes. So I decided to try the shadow gray, as on the charts I saw many useful mixes with this color. And here I compared it to Perylene Violet, and I decided that shadow gray will add more various colors as they are less reddish and there are already many reddish tones I can get. I also removed permanent alizarin crimson, as orange with magenta give quite an intense red anyways, so I don't need an additional red. Then I decided to compare the colors I would never think to choose initially, which are Cobalt Sea Blue and Dioxazine Violet. And looking at this comparison, Cobalt Sea Blue gives very unusual colors that I would never achieve with anything else. So I decided on that one, especially that I'm going to the seaside, so the colors seem more useful. I wanted to be able to see the mixes in my sketchbook, so on its second page I painted this chart inspired by the color wheel. But to be honest, it didn't give the colors justice at all. I painted those colors with too high intensity, they look dirty and not translucent at all. I was very disappointed because I really thought this chart will be beautiful and I spent quite some time on designing the composition of the rectangles and triangles. So I just had to do one more chart to fix this. To do that, on the next page I made quite a regular chart that I think looks beautiful. In both rows and columns, there are all colors in the same order, which is Nickel Azo Yellow, Aquarius Orange, Magenta, Phthalo Blue, Cobalt Sea Blue and Shadow Gray. Each box is a mix of the color from the row and the column, so the diagonal consists of the pure colors, and each mix repeats once, but it's not the same. In each row, the mix contains mostly the color from the row and a smaller amount of the color from the column. So for example, if we compare this yellow plus blue mix, in the first row the green there is much more yellowish and the color in the first column contains much more of the blue. This way, the chart can show more varieties than if they were mixed in equal proportions each time. Also, for each box I made sure to make a gradient to show the more intense and the more pale versions. I'm very glad I decided to commit one more page for this chart. I think it will be useful to check it to find out how to mix the color I want. Let me also tell you more about the additional colors I chose. I wasn't sure about the Cobalt Sea Blue at first because it does granulate and it was quite visible on my mixing charts. But I made them on a rough paper and the paper in my sketchbook has a very slight texture, so the granulation is not such an issue on it. In addition, I will probably not be able to use that much water as while painting at home, so less water will also trigger less granulation. And about the shadow gray. It is a color consisting of 3 pigments, and I said at the beginning that I wanted to avoid such ones. But to be honest, the mixes with this color are quite nice and it contains pigment PB29, which is ultramarine. So it allows me to introduce a tiny bit of ultramarine to the mixes, even though I decided on phthalo blue instead of ultramarine. It creates very neutral browns with the Aquarius Orange, and I think this will be quite useful. And if you wonder why I took phthalo blue instead of ultramarine, looking at the charts I thought that colors ultramarine creates are beautiful, but might be too intense for travel painting. I'm not sure about that, but I decided to try less intense blues. Okay, so it is time to put the paints that I chose to the new tiny box. It wasn't that easy to take them out, to be honest. I don't know if it is always like that or if it's just me, but I had to use a ruler for some leverage. After taking them out, it turned out that the boxes are quite dirty. So firstly, I cleaned the sides and also the rims from the paint. The pans seem to be permanently stained, unfortunately. In this small box, there is quite a lot of room in the middle. I checked, and if you really wanted, you could probably put 3 more full pans there. There is nothing to hold them, but I guess it would be very easy to resolve with a magnetic tape or some white tack. I think I will cut a piece of sponge and put it in the middle. There's also a little room on the sides, and I suppose that 2 half pans would fit there as well. So it is actually bigger than it says, but I left those spaces free for now, as I didn't have any half pans that I would like to add, and I also didn't want to add more colors, but challenge myself with using only those 6. So this is my final minimal setup for traveling. I'm taking the new travel watercolor box, a watercolor sketchbook, an automatic pencil, a fine liner, a kneaded eraser, a tiny bottle spray, and of course a water brush pen. And this is all in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about the colors I chose and about my setup. Do you think this will be enough? I will sure give you some feedback after the holidays. Don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to check the video in which I was painting the first page of this sketchbook and what colors I used there, you can find this video somewhere on the screen. See you in the next video. Bye bye!